Welcome back as we move on to our final best of three of the day. It has been a wild, crazy day that hasn't made much sense from the very start of when we got here. Not only because I've got Natu and Dralon by the side of me, which is like looking at the father and son reunion on the desk.
Papa.
I was actually going to steer this towards asking, how are you doing?
I haven't done anything too insane just yet, I'm just I'm getting, when you get that rocking and you start to feel like maybe need to be in one of their mental institutes. Maybe I'll end up that way by the end of the day.
I was this close from calling the ambulance already.
Please do. Just look out for me, Natu. I'm going to rely on you, mate.
I'll keep my eye on you.
Keep it going. In general, though, we've made it, right? That's the main thing. We've made it to this final hurdle. It has been wild, though, because no games have made sense.
Yeah.
All our analysis for the first three games was completely wrong.
I mean, the last game kind of made sense in a sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The first three games, nothing made sense. Then we got onto that weird final best of one. But what's the one?
It's like fucking clown noise.
I thought you were signaling something else then. All right, Dralon, okay. Dralon's showing off the Hungarian...
After the matches.
Okay, cool. That's how we get down.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving away the secrets, Dralon.
Showbiz secrets.
Showbiz secrets. That's what goes down in CSGO right now, at least when you're in Hungary and the local man shows you the way.
In other news...
look, you dug yourself into this and they're trying to bury out.
It's going to be more or less relevant.
True.
No, I'm asking if your other news is going to be more or less relevant.
More relevant because we have a very interesting elimination game in our hands.
Is it though? Is this game really that interesting when we look at it? Because this should just be Fiend wrecking, but they didn't seem too together. One of the players isn't even fully part of the roster, and they weren't looking as sharp individually as what I would have expected.
Look, no one's really coming into this game in high spirits, right? I don't think this is where these two teams really anticipated to meet.
Definitely not.
And they are quite neck and neck, actually. They have a bit of a history between them because moving into this tournament at the International Cup, which was kind of like the qualifier for this play-in stage, right? They met twice, and in both instances, Wisla Kraków actually beat Fiend, although it was a very close affair. So 2-1s in both games. We had some overtimes involved as well. So this does have the potential to go either way.
Yeah, for sure. But then again, now we're on LAN. We have a standing play for one of the teams.
Yes.
Wisla Kraków, even though Fiend was very underwhelming in their first game, for sure, their T-side of Mirage was just
non-existent.
Just wasn't there whatsoever. But Wisla Kraków also was making a ton of mistakes, fumbling on bomb plants and just making these weird mistakes with utility. And it seemed like maybe it was the nerves getting to them a little bit. So now it's the nitty-gritty time. You're in a best-of-3 situation. You're playing to avoid elimination. So, I mean, it's not going to be less stressful for them, you would think.
Yeah, it really comes down to the map pool in the end, I think both teams have the potential to bring out the double upset up. Now, arguably, at least in my opinion, I think for Fiends a bit stronger. They have that FPL generation in Horn, Red Star, right? The young stars, both capable of upping really well. The secondary up, and now we have the Vito's up.
Ooh,
we've already gone there.
And this is quite interesting, right? So we're going to get Dust 2 picked up by Kraków, then we're going to have Inferno for the second map done by Fiend, and an overpass decider. Kassad, you're very lucky. You've managed to avoid overpass as well. You don't play the map, you don't know the map, so you can't talk about the map.
Yeah, no, it's interesting for sure. Dust 2 is a map that's a very high win percentage for Fiend.
Yeah.
It's a map they've steered towards for sure. They seem to really like it, and now in the previous matchup, these teams played one another in the International Cup. It was actually Wisla who vetoed Dust 2. So now they opt for it. They feel like they have what it takes to win Fiend on the map. But I mean, yes, it's a new iteration of Dust 2. It's a very different map.
Yeah.
I think the small change, whatever, if it goes to the small or not, that's up for debate. But that change has changed the dynamic of the map quite a bit. But it's still a brawly map, and you are playing against a Bulgarian team who are brawly teams.
Who love a bit of that, right?
And they have a standing also.
And like you said, this is a map which Wisla Kraków doesn't really play at all, and especially like the casters pointed out so aptly back then. You don't really challenge Fiend on, Mirage, unless you're like Team Hungary, of course.
Yeah.
Dust 2.
We just defied the odds.
Yeah, Dust 2 or Inferno. That's their home map in the Triumvirate. They play very fundamental Counter-Strike, and that's where they truly shine. So this is a very brave pick from Wisla.
Do you think that's going to be the undoing of them, though?
We'll see.
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. But also, what I want to kind of see, and what we were talking about before in the first game of Fiend, like Ships coming into this lineup. He's a playmaker. Dust 2 is a playmaker. Smap. It's going to be cool to see if they've been able to. We don't know how much they've been practicing with him in the lineup. You know how many little tricks and like pushes, aggressive maneuvers they've been able to come up with together on the CT side. Because if they have, you know, I can see Wisla Krakow being in a ton of trouble.
Well, let's see if Fiend are going to show us anything special as we bring them onto the stage.
I don't wanna cry.
I like to read into body language, and I would say that they don't look so happy. They don't look too excited at all. They definitely probably aren't in the best mental state right now going into it.
Yeah, you kind of hope they would be, you know.
Like trying to pump yourself up a bit, you know. You've got someone like Bubble who's a bit of a character.
I mean, you're going into series with basically you've been able to pick the first 2 maps of the game. Dust 2 and Inferno are both go-to maps for Fiend. So yeah, you definitely should be pumped up for this one.
Well, let's see if the other team is pumped up and ready for this one. Let's see if they're going to show us a bit more wow. Bring on Krakow. And there we have it. Not really anything more too hype, but at least they were smart.
Yeah, well, we saw a smirk.
Yeah, there was a smile, you know. Like, there we go.
Yeah, we'll take that.
In body language,
yeah.
with these kind of players, you know that's something that stands for at least I care about this game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Wisla definitely has the upper hand here on the stage entry game. Whether or not that's going to have anything to do with the actual game remains to be seen.
Come on, you know, that's all part of it, you know, presentation, showing off, giving a little.
I wish they would have their own entry songs. You know, they get to choose, you know.
Could you imagine having to pay for the rights for the songs people have got, guys?
Screw that.
Oh, yeah?
We have all the money. Just
print it. Just let it go, you know.
Yeah.
Where is it? We got IKEA. IKEA, they can do it, you know. TikTok as well. Come on, all our sponsors, just throw the money at the. TikTok can definitely do it, actually. They probably got every royalty. Like, you see all them girls doing the crazy dances and stuff, do it.
Yeah,
True.
Easy. There we go. We've cracked it. Let's go.
Perfect. Oh, we should have them do a TikTok video entrance, each team. Could you imagine Fiend doing that? They would hate us. They would fight us for that.
No, I actually saw Bubble doing a TikTok earlier today, and it was the least enthusiastic piece of content that you probably ever see on TikTok.
Well, we need to go look out for that. You know, that's obviously something we definitely want to see.
Yeah.
Watch the Fiend boys doing some TikTok
Down on
magic.
TikTok today.
You know some guys that would definitely be very good at TikTok. They're also very good at commentary. It's Dinko and Hawker, so bust your moves, boys.
No, I'm not doing TikTok. I am not doing TikTok. But Hawker, you do TikTok?
No, not for me, sadly.
No. So we get the TikTok out of the way. Wonderful sponsor. Thank you for all the money, but not doing the dances. But, we're hopping into the rest of the games here, and I'm looking forward to hopping into this elimination game. We're looking at Wisla Krakow, and I can't, I'm sorry. I throw myself off, but... Wisla Krakow, right? They're a team coming into this event. I'm going to try and pronounce it Polish the whole time, because obviously, wow, there we go. This is the reason I'm laughing. We have these guys in the same room as us. It's very difficult to be professional in this room right now, Hawker. But we look at Wisla Krakow, and obviously they're a team coming into this, certainly the underdogs in this event. And I think we look at this team, I was expecting them to potentially be here. I think Enterprise are a team that were likely to pull off an upset earlier today, and they did. So I'm looking at Wisla Krakow coming into this one. They should be getting bashed around by the Bulgarians, but the Bulgarians didn't look that good today, to be honest, Hawker. But hopefully it'll be a similar story as it was with the Sinners, where they came back into play and they showed up when it came to the best of threes.
I mean, as the desk pointed out, this is a bold Dust 2 pick. This is such a bold pick against Fiend, who have an 89% win rate on it. I know there's been an update recently, but wow, this has got to come in and be good from Wisla Krakow.
Yeah.
If I got that right?
I think so. It's something like
Just
that.
about. I'm getting there.
Wisla, something like that.
Okay.
But we're getting there. But obviously, Wisla Krakow, if anybody doesn't know, they are actually a football organization in Poland. So yeah, they're a pretty big organization out there. So a lot of Polish fans, I'm sure, transitioning over, wanting to watch their team here. And it might just be a comeback from them. We'll have to see, because unfortunately, we've already said goodbye to the Polish teams today with AGO gone in that first elimination game. It's pretty sad. So it's time for Wisla Krakow to really step up and take the mantle here for Polska.
Definitely. And like you were pointing out, they probably are underdogs here. I think it's fair to say, against Fiend, who are one of the I think they are the top-ranked team here at the play-in stage. And this Bulgarian squad, I like the way the desk put them. They're a very skilled team generally, but they're also a team who generally just play with fundamentals a lot of the time. They're not going to get too creative or too crazy, but they do have a solid understanding, and they have a lot of good players on this squad. Han is someone who hadn't played too many lands, but he played at IEM full recently and definitely put up a solid showing as the AWPer for the squad. So I'm really excited to see what he can show us here.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think Han, I said personally in the play, and I think he's one of the most individually gifted players in this stage of the tournament. I think Oscar probably takes that mark, but I would say he's certainly up there. Harn showed us a great performance over in IEM Fall, actually. He's one of the highest rated players at the event for a long time. When we started to head out of the group stages, he was up there. And Fiend obviously had a similar heartbreaking story as Sinners did, missing out on their major spot to the Copenhagen Flames, if you remember back at that huge overtime game. They don't have Victor here due to illness, so they will be playing with Ships instead. A fantastic player himself, so not a bad stand-in to have as an option. But we head into Dust 2, this elimination game getting underway.
Get straight into it, and as has been pointed out on this new Dust 2, a lot of CT aggression up mid is possible. Han already making the most of that by jumping up to short early. Smoke has obscured his vision though, so he will have to go back and play a safer angle. The T's currently taking control towards mid. These jumps across can sometimes be scary in gun rounds, but the USPs won't be landing any shots through the doors. So fairly standard start, just taking some map control on the Wisla Krakow side.
I do love the accent you give.
I'm really trying. I'm really trying. I hope they appreciate my effort.
Yeah, well, Harn is going to be holding down from CT. Red Star playing in the middle of the site, gets overrun by Yetker. Red Star out of play. PHR find the follow-up, and Goofy as well coming through for Wisla Krakow. Off to a fantastic start into the pistol. Just 2 plays left. It's Ships and Dreamer. And now they're going to try and see if they can pull this round off. It's going to be very difficult up against forward players. I think for this Wisla Krakow side, there's lots of storylines to dive into. I think just with the player's history, Sparrow is a player we were discussing earlier in the green room. We're like, this guy's been around for so long, right? He's a player that's just been in all of the Polish organizations, it feels like. He's in the Kingwin teams, he was in and around all of those rosters. I think he actually had a little stint in AGO as well at the time. Sparrow's been tested on the AWP in lots of different roles across his history. But Sparrow, unfortunately, played around the time Virtus Pro were still at the top, right? The Golden Five. So, you look at that and, or the Big Five. I don't know if, I thought the Russian team was actually the Golden Five historically. I think that was the original title.
I believe so.
So they're the Virtus Plow, I guess I'll call those guys. But yeah, obviously those guys were around. So there wasn't too many options for a player like Sparrow to go ahead and take the spot, because they didn't do what we do now, and it's actually give shots to the younger players. So the development kind of got stifled in Poland.
And I always appreciate when players like that are willing to change up their role somewhat, because he's not actually the primary AWPer on this team anymore. That's Marcos on this team. And I also believe Spiro is in-game leading for this squad. So he's taking on more of that veteran role now for the team, it seems, which is definitely something that they could use and I'm sure is very valuable to them. Here comes the full spy though, and the lower tons aggression is something you have to be wary of. Ships, unfortunately, showing some of that stand-in form there.
Yeah, Ships have sailed on that one. Spero able to take him out. So, an advantage in play for Wisla Kraków. You look at the Fiend side in terms of the force spy here, you really need to just start getting that ball rolling early. You need that first pick to kind of spiral out of control, build up more momentum. And at this moment in time, I haven't really got that. So, Wisla Kraków looking to try and take a couple more kills. They're taking their time, certainly, because they have plenty of it. And not too much pressure on their shoulders right now. Spero getting information. There is at least one towards short. Volto's going to go out and clear out the left side of that doorway. At least I hope that that was what's the case. But in fact, okay, it was indeed a miss Molotov.
Yeah, I think he was trying to throw it up to short. We'll let him off, though. Works out in the end. They're finally trying to take that control. Han's got this scout. Ooh, okay. Han getting a little frisky with it. Shot through the door as he rotates over to this A side of the map. Still no decision made here by the T's with 35 seconds remaining.
Yeah, really taking the time, and that could work against him here if the chaos starts to unfold in favor of the CT side. And one kill for Bubble coming through. Sparrow out of the round. Harn able to follow up, and now the chaos really has begun. 20 seconds left. The bomb needs to be picked up and run straight in towards that B site. They're trying to peer over the smoke, and they'll do it. Bubble over the top has come in and shut down the bomb. It's in the open. They've got to pick it up. They've got to get it back into the site, and they will do that. With 10 seconds left, plenty of time to get the bomb down. And now Marcos' job is just covering off the site, but he's ran out of ammo. And now suddenly it's PHR in a 1 versus 1. Bubble is ridiculously low on health. One little tap and his bubble is burst. We'll see if he can stay alive as PHR takes position underneath the window. And Bubble is waiting for a re-aggression. He's waiting for a mistake of PHR to try and trade out that area, thinking that maybe Bubble's gone tunnels, maybe I can take outside the doorway. But PHR just tucks in below the window. And Bubble with the MAC-10 needs to be so quick on the headshots here, and he gets caught right from below. PHR saves the round for Wisla Kraków. It's not the cleanest of rounds at all, Hawker, but at least it's a round picked up.
There was just so much damage done by that scout that put a bunch of the Wisla Kraków players low on health as they started to move in towards that B side of the map. Those pistols were able to just land body shots and just able to get kills like that because of all that damage that was done early. Great job by Han to do all that damage. The recovery was eventually there. They get that bomb back, and Fiend have gone ahead and gone with the full spy again here. One premium rifle in play. They just want to go straight for it. Not many teams would do this.
But they're Bulgarian.
They know they've done damage, though.
They're the Bulgarian bulldozer, Hawker.
Yeah, you can't blame them. If they win this, they could absolutely butcher the T economy.
Ooh,
come on, Ships. Make up for it.
Ships in the night, blinded. Sparrow takes him out. And Ships is down again in the lower tunnels. Aggression. He has a gold on the Mag-7 sometimes. There are some moments from a couple of DreamHack opens. And the amount of plays he's been able to pull out. Sparrow does eliminate Bubble. Red Star's done well there to get away with the AK. He's also got a kill out of this round, so he's going to drop back. And here comes the play now from Wisla Kraków. Not quite a red star, it's a white star inside of a red circle, so they're okay there.
They're going to group up, stick together. Back to this A side of the map where currently the AK is waiting for them on the CT side. Red Star could have a chance here to get some kills on the hole.
Oh yeah, Red Star is doing quite well here with the AK. This is turning into a bit of a nightmare. You mentioned butchering the economy. We'll see if the Bulgarian butchers have anything up their sleeve at this point. The cleavers are out. Unfortunately, they're blunt. Just one player left. Han in a 1 versus 3. Bomb will get planted. And Han does not have much shot of doing much in this round. Just going to start backing away out of this one. And that will be that. Another round for the Wisla Kraków side. A fantastic start to this game. And 3-0. I mean, there has been times where you get a little bit worried. Maybe Fiend are going to be able to get a foothold in these couple of rounds here. But in the end, actually, Wisla Kraków have found their way out of them. Whether it be the 1 versus 1 or the recovery in this one.
Is the solid start that the Poles would have wanted. Again, difficult whenever you're going up against this Fiend team. They are going to be just constantly making rounds difficult with the skill they have. Ooh. That's a nice bit of money made with the Mag-7 kill. Han is committed further. He wants more. But but Jedka able to take him out at the end. So nothing saved for Fiend, and it may be time to start taking a save round here.
Or a half buy, you know, a couple deagles, couple weapons upgraded, but yeah, we should not be seeing the full buy coming through from them at all. And a lot of people have been asking what this Chernobyl Light sponsor has been on their jersey here, Wisla Kraków. I did a little research. It seems it's like it's a survival game. It's a video game that they're advertising, so it's pretty cool.
And they got their money's worth there by intriguing you.
Yeah, I guess that's how it works. It's like, why are they advertising that? Or who knows, but yeah, you look it up. But
there you go.
3 rounds on the board here for Wisla Kraków, and it is that half fight coming in from the Fiend side.
Got a few players stacked on A. They still have the Scout, they still have the Desert Eagles, so you can fight this long range, probably with Han looking to see if he can land some shots. They've also done some early damage, so a couple of the Ts would be taken down with just a body shot here. Han may be looking for that.
Oh, good little tag out from Han. Onto a player with health though, so no kill looking in for Han. And he's replaced by Jedka. As now Wisla Kraków look for the play into the A side. It has been a bit of a rotation over here from Fiend. They've got the players in position ready to go. And Ships is holding the cross up to the site, spots one head, and PHR brought down. You look for another one, his teammate alongside him. And Jedka just peeking on up, smoke in place, and right now CT's not really looking to stand that much of a chance right now, but Wisla Kraków are extremely low hawkers. You have to bring into that point that the T's really need to start getting kills here, otherwise these Deagles can land some crucial body shots and might even be able to steal this round away, because now they have an AK.
Worst case scenario, you just save the AK. Best case scenario, you maybe stick around and see if you can go for this. Some of the T's may be stuck on the site. If you could just land a jump shot, that would be ideal right now, but Red Star doesn't want to take that risk. He's still sneaking in, still seeing if he can be the first man to lead the charge back into the bomb site. And his teammates will start to join him, but with that kill going against them, they realize it may be better to cool this off, and they won't be even able to get out alive. Red Star doesn't have the AK right now, just the Deeg in hand. He'd love to get a save away here, but the round will be going against him.
Rounds now for Wisla Kraków. Dust 2, it's one of those maps where we were talking about, you know, looking at this best of 3. You are bringing it to a pretty dangerous territory when you go to Dust 2 against the Bulgarian side who have so much individual skill, and you know, you kind of eliminate the fact of having a stand-in. Like on Dust 2, it's not really that much of a factor when you have a stand-in, because especially if he's the AWPer, right, he's just going to be able to take whatever spots he wants, and Chips is going to feel very comfortable here on Dust 2. So Wisla Kraków needed a good start, and they've got it, 4-0 up, but here comes their first test, and it comes in the form of a double-up setup with Han and Chips. That's one scary 1-2 punch.
Yeah, this is something Dweg pointed out earlier, is that every player on this Fiend team picks up the AWP sometimes. Now that they have Ships in this lineup too, every player is capable with the sniper. So that definitely lends itself to a map like Dust 2, and Han is waiting, and they edge round into the corner. Easy early kill on the hold from Han. Nice setup to get that early frag, and now the Bulgarians will be feeling much more confident here. The response from them is nice too. They retake long control on A, but the one weak spot right now is mid.
And they're just going to smoke off CT. They're going to flash into it. Wisla Kraków not going for the B split just yet. They're going to let Marcos take a position up first before they make their way through these mid doors as we go under a minute on the clock in round 5. Marcos begins to peer up towards the top of the B ramp. No aggression coming through from the window side. They did get caught off by a CT smoke in the last round, and this one's terrible. Massive gap to play with on the right side of it. Ships and Dreamer taking 2 for the defense, and Bubbles play around from the long point. Has caught one in middle, and Dreamer, who sat in his position for so long at the car, is rewarded for his patience. A disjointed round with really no pace really from Wisla Kraków.
Now he lost that early kill, just slowly trying to take that lower tunnels and mid control, which is something that was working for them in the earlier rounds. But now that the AWPs are out, you have to have the utility protocols in place. You have to know that that AWP could be boosted up on short and just be able to flash him off that angle. But that doesn't happen. And then from there, the plan B never really came into place. But this time, they're going for the plan A with the quick push out through A long. They've got that map control they were looking for early.
Yeah, just one quick smoke towards close long. That means they can just disrespect the long smoke at doors thrown by the CTs. And they've taken outside long control. Now, they don't have too much control other than this, so they will put Marcos and Pit to try and peer up into the site. He's waiting for some aggression, some peaks to come through. But once they have him posted up long, that does free some of the riflers up to maybe start setting up utility, if they had any. It's only Sparrow with utility right now. He's got one Molotov left. They're going to use that smoke for the cross. There's no follow-up smoke, though, so it will be a gap to play with. The second one comes in finally, and the flash comes in. They have a check. Red Star, and he's nearly got away with 3. Just 2 for him, though. And now they have to start worrying about that rotation because Fiend have sent players over already to try and defend this A site.
Bubbles already up on the site itself.
Oh, what a gap.
PHR hits a banging shot from behind.
Oh.
Here comes Ships, though, missing his first chance, but he makes it up for it on the second, and it's only Marcos.
Look how cool, calm, and collected he was just to be able to get that second shot off, realizing he missed it. He did not panic. And now Marcos into the clutch. Couldn't quite take his opportunity, and Ships will not let you miss twice. Second round for Fiend. Not the prettiest round, but certainly one that they made that quick rotation over. And just having the players there was enough.
And just the confidence that Red Star has that he can just tuck behind the car the entire time was so cool to see.
Yep.
He didn't even have a smoke there at car. So if they mollied him, he was screwed. But he realized if he just waits patiently, eventually that flash comes in for him. He gets those important 2 kills and just takes the sting out of the push so that his teammates can rotate. Look at what that does to the T economy. Just a couple of digs ahead of this one.
Yeah, it was hanging on by a thread in the last round, which is in part why they didn't even have the extra utility to be able to clear out the car. And so, yeah, Red Star gets away with the circumstances there. But Wisla Kraków, this is what we're talking about, right? This is the good start they get. You know, they enter the Force by Wards versus Fiend. Fiend are just trying to break them early. They test them. Wisla Kraków barely passed those tests with a 1v1 clutch from PHR. You know, a couple rounds where they're going up against weaker weapons. But the guns have come out, and this is where Fiend should be looking clean and clinical. And in these rounds, it's all about limiting the casualties. They have lost 1, but the rest of the squad cleaning it up. And fantastic start here in the gun rounds from Fiend. I think you can start to forget about the start from Wisla Kraków now as we start to enter the real game. Now the gun rounds really matter. Every single moment and decision really can cost Wisla Kraków in this series because, as pointed out by the wonderful desk, the fact that the maps are here in play is Dust 2 and Inferno. These are 2 maps right now that Team Fiend are comfortable on, Hawker.
Absolutely. And I think for Wisla Kraków right now, I would like to see them take a round where they show they can just slowly take some map control in towards mid. They haven't really shown that ability to take mid and short control in these gun rounds, but the lower tunnel's aggression is back again.
Harn is trying to hold the lower tunnels. A little peak angle here onto Goofy. Flash is going to go down into the lower tunnel to force Harn off the iron core. He's missed his shot, and once you miss and you have no rifle support, you are screwed. You are dead immediately, and Sparrow hunts him down. Claims his victim, and Bubble is lit to the party, but is there to try and avenge his fallen teammate. He'll get 1. Can't really recover the map control that was lost, nor the orb. So Harn going for that lower tunnel aggression is a bit of a risk, especially with that orb, but luckily you have the secondary orb to fall back on, and Ships is still locking down mid.
Even a bait and switch setup if the push were to come through, but so far Ships spotting nothing in through mid. Wisla Kraków are staying spread across the map here, but someone is going to have to make a move soon. Nice shot from Ships. Goofy still trapped behind this box. Oh no, that's a CT molly that's made Bubble reposition.
Yeah, well, that's helped out Wisla Krakow's attempt in this round. Information picked up, bait and switch gone, and they're going to leave Bubble to try and play in and around the smoke. It's going to try and cause a few problems for the Wisla Kraków side as they get up in towards short. They're ready to go into this A play. They're going to do a long split from short. Now, 2 players are going out long. They've got the bomb in their back. They've got to hope that this short contact pulls away the attention, and they're able to find the car player. Fantastic kills coming in. They needed to find the defense, and they don't even lose a single player. Surely that's the safe call now for Fiend. They've just got to hope that their chances come next round.
It ends up looking like a comfortable round win for Wisla Kraków, but I can guarantee you that is not a comfortable round win. With the bomb being so far back on long, with such little time left, if those 2 long players go down there, that's probably the round lost. You probably don't have enough time to bring that bomb back to the site. So they were basically relying on winning those fights onto A, even though they were pushing into an AWP, which definitely could have dealt with them. So really important frags coming through at a crucial moment. And if you are going to run down the clock like that, you have to be able to step up and find those frags in those pressure moments. They did just that. Definitely more like it, though, from the T's in this round. Just getting a bit of early control, taking away that aggression from Fiend, and then being able to transition that into a site push, even if it was a little slow. This is the kind of round that you want to see against Fiend. You don't let them just get away with that constant aggression, because Fiend are one of those teams where if they play against a squad where they think they can outskill you, they will just make the most of that, and they will punish you every round. So you really have to earn the respect of Fiend, and I think they're starting to do that now.
I mean, look at FaZe Clan. They were a perfect example of the spice that the Fiend side can bring, right? FaZe Clan had their whole major dreams in their hands, right? They just needed to win one map up Mirage, and Fiend destroyed them. 16-6. They destroyed FaZe Clan on LAN. If you let them play that style, they will obliterate you. So that's absolutely correct. We have all of the science there. We have the examples, the evidence. And for Wisla Kraków, you've got a very difficult task of going pound for pound against this Fiend side. But Victor, I think, is an essential player into that mindset as well. A very experienced player. He's willing to take matters into his own hands, and he's not here. So they're going to have someone else step up and take that role.
They are, and Ships I was talking to, and he said he's very willing to just take on the aggressive role for the team that Victor sometimes goes for. It was quite cool hearing them as well, because Ships plays on the rival Bulgarian teams. They were having a bit of banter back and forth about the recent times they played each other. Yeah. It's definitely a good mood in the Fiend camp.
I mean, Ships is part of that old Vindigo crew, right? He definitely had a good run of things there. Everybody in Bulgaria, I'm sure, are very familiar with one another. There's something in the water in Bulgaria, provides good offers. And here comes the dive down from short. Goofy's actually got a double out of that CT dive. And now they just think about the B hit, because they've got one player in tunnel, and there's only one player in defense, but, ooh, Dreamer had the chance. He had the chance to get out the window and be able to pick up a kill, but just wasn't in the right position. Wasn't able to get the shots landing accurately. And that'll end up costing them. Wisla Kraków doing a decent job here. That's some complicated rounds. You know, when you're having these short drops, there's a lot of pressure on that one player to be able to get those crucial kills. And right now, Wisla Kraków are getting those.
A really nice call here from Wisla Kraków. And you see just how defensively the CTs had to play that. Han just dropped a smoke at his feet on the site to try and play around it, thinking it would be that A short play. But then, as you pointed out, you have to get that early kill down on the drop. They did exactly that. They landed a lot of good quick kills in that round. So, really good signs from them into the gun rounds now. They are getting that early map control. Team Fiend look like they do want to invest into this one, but a couple of the players are somewhat short-changed. So Ships will have the AWP, while the other players keep a bit of money in the bank.
Yeah, that seemed like a very last-minute decision. Like, oh, we don't actually have much money here. Some players bought some of it on the Deagle, saving some cash for a later round. And they do have around a 2k average, so they will have some money to play with. Going into the next round, Ships can play a little bit more defensively, maybe, but dead at the beginning of the round.
Yeah, maybe needs to go to the School of Jame in a round like this. You don't have much money in the bank. You maybe want to play safer with that AWP, but Red Star's picked it up.
Yeah, and it comes back to that point. Fiend have players that can pick up the AWP, so it's not too much of a problem. Certainly a capable player, Red Star, when he has the AWP in his hands. But they are losing players left, right, and center. Bubble down and out. And you really need to get off to a good start in these kind of rounds. You know, if you let your opponent take long control, just walk up on the site, it can be very difficult to be able to pull this off.
Has been these A plays recently that have been working for Wisla Kraków.
Harn seems to be sitting with a really good posture. I don't like, he's got the back straight. I kind of lean forward too much. I think a lot of players do that. I need to learn hockey, you know, I'm only young for a while, you know, eventually. Gotta keep some good posture if I'm gonna be doing these TikTok dances, man. You know, gotta eventually do that at some point.
Wow, this is a good sign on the map pick of the Polish squad. We were saying that the Dust 2 pick is one you have to quickly back up, and they definitely have so far. It was interesting seeing the route both of these teams took to get to this point, because they do have that recent history having played in the V4 Cup to get here. And in that previous matchup, it was the Poles who were able to come out on top. I think they may have played each other twice, in fact, because there was an upper and lower bracket. But for Fiend, I'm looking at the teams they had to beat to get through. eSuba, Full Glory, and Onyx. A couple of the teams that have made it here, but maybe not any huge names that you might expect. They've still done a good job to make it through that qualifier, but now we've got to see them get a really solid win here now that we're into the play-in.
Yeah, and Wisla Kraków have recently won the local premiership of Poland, so they've tasted some victory. And they've become champions of their region. And, well, Poland might just be the weakest region at this event right now, unfortunately. So we'll see if they can carry the flag forward for the Polish nation. It was Independence Day in Poland a few days ago. Went to the store. It's closed in the middle of the day. So, you know, a lot of pride for Poland.
That's the only way you found out, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, why is the shop closed? They just said, well, it's Independence Day. At that point, I then noticed every Polish flag was on the street, so...
That makes sense.
Yeah. Be quite a good moment for the team to step up and start pushing forward for Poland in this month, but we'll see if the side can get their way through and crack through this defense. They'll see if it holds water. Ships, their first player, does not want to sink.
They're not budging. There's an A fake right now, a full A long fake with Jedka pushing up towards the site, but they're still not leaving B. Finally, that kill comes in, and now the CTs might start to respond to this fake.
Oh, Jedka has got himself in a decent spot at Goose right now. He's going to sit back in a good corner. He's got that teammate out towards Lauren to help him out, but that bomb is still trying to go B, and the CTs aren't moving. They're not leaving the B site. So they actually have the strongest hold possible right now with Ships. They've not bit into the rotation, and now they realize, okay, well, they're still on B. I'm running the bomb back. I'm trying to get it over towards this A site, and they might just get there in time. Ships is trying to be spoiler, but unfortunately, Goofy just runs out mid, and this guy's having a fantastic game. The amount of impact kills he's having right now is absolutely huge.
I mean, that definitely wasn't exactly as they drew it up in the playbook that round. That was meant to be a fake on A, and yet they had two players pushing towards that A site, and they're able to take full site control, which is so impressive.
They just went with whatever came to mind, you know, whatever option opened itself up, and in itself, that's quite a difficult way of playing because you have to be so decisive, so quick in those decisions and understanding, okay, this is what we can do real quick, let's do it. Let's get everybody on the same page. A lot of teams struggle to do that. I think Wisla Kraków are playing quite a difficult style of Counter-Strike to pull off. You know, if you're going to be running this clock down and be going on moments and setups that really require one player to step up and do his job with no questions asked, it's actually quite a difficult play style to pull off, but Wisla Kraków have been able to do it, I think.
And you saw just how quick they were to turn around. As soon as that AWP shot rings off, they just instantly know, hey, we've got the A site. We can just come back. Those A players can probably make sure to cut off the rotation. We should be good to go. Ships is back to the Mag 7. He's been enjoying it.
He really is a Mag 7 player.
Yeah.
Probably, you know, Snacks-esque, you know, just loves the Swag 7. I think he's got that skin as well. 4v4. Not much to play with here for Fiend. And to be fair to Wisla Kraków, apart from that one round where they had that 1v1 of PHR, they've actually been pretty good at dealing with these kind of... Oh my god, I'm ruining it. There we go. Caster's Curse coming in full effect. Red Star with a double kill around the other side of the doorway. And he might just get more out of this. The AK-47 finally cleared out by PHR. He pushes forward, but they're getting flanked, and they know that. They know now. This fuse is short and right through the door. Dreamer brings down Jedka. And it's now just PHR into the clutch again. He was the player to save their woes earlier on today, but it was a 1 versus 1. This time, a 1 versus 3 needed for PHR. Throws the AWP away, but it should be recovered, and it is. Ships gets it into the next round. What a nightmare. Absolute nightmare there for Wisla Kraków.
In that round, Ships just pushed into B tunnels straight away. So even though he didn't get any of the early kills, he was just in a position where his teammates could make sure they were just in those tight corners, in those awkward close-range angles, and not using any nades out through those mid doors can be dangerous. That Deeg does good work. The flanks start coming through, and Fiend prove that they are always capable of winning rounds. Just when you least expect them to, they come through with their 4th round win. I think we might see the Poles go back to that slower style of play now after that fast push through the mid doors did not go well.
That's the playstyle Fiend have been trying to run pretty much every round in these low buys. This one just dealt with it most other times, but they get away with it this time. Thank goodness that Team Fiend have changed to Team Fiend. Otherwise, we'd had Wisla Kraków and Voivoda back like that. We would have had a mouthful today. We'll see the Fiend side getting the organization a couple of months back, but Ships getting aggressive. Not all of the Fiend roster standing in for Victor if you are just tuning in and confused, but he's gone back through the smoke again. Ballsy play here for Ships, but this time he gets caught. PHR is not worried about that. He's too wise for his tricks.
I mean, Ships clearly wasn't lying to me when he said he's willing to play the aggressive role on this squad. I think they're starting to figure out that Ships just keeps on pushing, though. Smart molly in play to make sure he can't get any further up. Man advantage found, but that time is continuing to tick. It's another slow round, but this time it looks like the A commitment, not the fake.
Yeah, and this smoke thrown down, not only does it stop any Molotovs from coming in and causing you problems, but it also gives you a little bit of a one-way if you jump up on these barrels behind you, and that's what Red Star wants to do right now. And we'll start running into his crosshair. His teammates are distracting him, and now Red Star strikes like a cobra. He's taking down everybody. PHI left alone. He's coming back in from long. 3 players in front of him with 15 seconds left. Bomb is in an unretrievable position. I think at this point, he just wants to die. And that is exactly what will happen. Have money in the bank, but wanted to take down a few players with him. In the end, gets caught before the time, so all is good. 8-5 now for Wisla Kraków.
Fiend just doing a good job at stalling in that round, using the counter utility wisely. They had a flash in initially, which slowed down this push, and then that smoke you pointed out just makes sure that it's not as easy for the T's to push up and find that clean entry they would want into that A-bomb site. Solid round from Red Star. Smart play to realize he can just buy time for the rotate. Fiend are starting to find some form now. This double AWP setup hasn't been as impactful as I was maybe expecting. We had Han in one of those early gun rounds get boosted up for that early pick, but in general, the AWPs haven't been taking too many of those early fights in the same way. The riflers have been doing a solid job so far.
Yeah, I also think they've been in bad situations without rifle support when they're going for solo plays. Like Harm, for example, went for some lower tunnel aggression with an AWP alone. You know, that's just not going to work. Even if you get a kill, you're likely to be traded out very efficiently. So it's maybe just the decision-making and how they're using those AWPs that, yes, you certainly could change, because you would expect this 1-2 punch of Harn and Chips to be able to get you so much more on the CT side of Dust 2.
Fiend have got that full long control early, which will start to allow them to focus more on these mid doors. They've got a couple of CTs here in position, looking this way. You would expect Kraków to use some utility of their own on the cross, though, and they will start to do that.
Yeah. I mean, Wisla Kraków are just playing this slow, methodical default. They just want short control. That's all they want right now. In terms of getting that short control, it has allowed them to do every one of their strategy set pieces. You know, either be an A split or a B split where you have one player drop in spawn, or just the standard B split where you run up ramp and through the tunnels. Once they get short control, it just gives them so many more options to play with. The issue this time is, though, I'm looking at that player at long right now. I think it's Bubble, who might go around and get some info. So they might just get this info early, and then maybe that you can make that quick rotation for the CTs back over to B, but it really comes down to the timing.
At least they have found an opening towards mid doors. Red Star was holding those mid doors. He rotated away, but it's Ships who gets caught off guard. The push had already come into the B site. His teammate wasn't there to help hold that angle, and now they're locked out entirely.
And that's good for Wisla Kraków, who know they don't have a player towards Longhawker, right? So when you realize that you don't have that information being picked up to the other side of the map, you don't know if they've gone aggressive, you don't know if they've pushed, so you realize there's a timer on your play, there's a timer on your execute, and they went for the B hit at the perfect time before any of that information gathering really could come through from Fiend.
It was just a slightly faster round than a lot of their previous ones. You know, in the previous ones, they would maybe run it down to 20 or 30 seconds. This one, they still take their time, but as you pointed out, just a slightly faster pace on the play, and it seemed to really help catch Fiend out there. Ships also just having to respond to the fact that mid was open was a bit of a concern there, because you see the idea for the setup there for Fiend. They want the AWP holding the tunnels angle, and then they want Dreamer in that cubby just ready to be set up for a multi-kill with the unexpected rifle. But once mid becomes a problem, Ships has to leave, and then Dreamer is in a committed position in that cubby that isn't really a great spot to actually hold the tunnels from. So they get out through the tunnels quite easily, they get those 2 kills, that's all they need for another round.
Wisla Kraków up to 9, playing good Counter-Strike, less mistakes being made than we've seen earlier today. Maybe the nerves settled a little bit, maybe much more comfortable map like Dust 2 rather than Ancient. I'm excited to see more of this, because Wisla Kraków have been entertaining so far, and they're out long early. Sparrow has got one on the Ships across that mid position. Again, Ships tried to go for that aggression. I need to look at the stats, Hawk, and maybe you can find this out about how often he's going for the opening duel and how many times he's winning it, because right now it feels like he's on the losing end of it significantly.
Yeah, that definitely feels as though it is the case. 3 nades left in CT spawn for Fiend. Make sure to see if that ends up coming into play. Goofy is just walking his way into B, though. Dreamer's playing this same spot in the cubby, but this time it's not a bait and switch. He's just the only player in this position and has to hold the B site alone.
Oh, Red Star peeking out. Sparrow is found, and now Goofy has cracked open the only player that is actually inside the B site for the CT side, and Red Star is not in a position to be able to help. He's not in a position to bail them out of this one. So the T's will have the B site. And how many times do we see a save call immediately come through from the CTs when they lose the B site? This time they've even got to worry about a flank coming in as well. This is looking so awful. This is going to be such a hard round to even have a say in. But because it's the last one of the half, they're just going with everything they've got. And I think they realize it's a losing battle. You're fighting a battle that's already found the outcome. Harn on the way out, just looking for some style points and maybe even just some parting gifts on the way out. But it is a 1 versus 2, but that time, it is ticking. And it looks like 6 rounds are looming too far away from the Fiend side. He's trying his best for some miraculous play, but it would be outlandish of him to expect to win. And that isn't going to happen. Runs away to pad his stats a little bit on the way out. 10-5 half for Wisla Kraków. Fantastic T half here on Dust 2, showing us why they picked it.
And just coming back to that point of the opening kills from ships, both AWPers for Fiend actually struggled heavily in the opening duels. Ships was the first to die 5 times, and he only got the opening kill once. And then Han was the first to die 4 times, and only got the opening kill in 2 rounds. So normally you'd expect those AWPs to be able to get those early picks. That's what a lot of teams' CT sides will be built around. Even if it's not the early frag, they'll maybe be holding on towards the A side of the map, maybe towards long, and just get a kill as the play comes in. That didn't really happen too much here. It's going to have to be a really strong second half for Fiend to try and have a chance here on Dust 2.
Yeah, the strengths of Fiend are actually their weaknesses right now. We got to see that change as we head into the second half. 10-5 in this elimination game. Group B elimination. Number 1 seed in the play-in is Team Fiend. And they might just be going home as they currently are behind. Don't look at the logos on the top. That will be sorted out as quickly as possible. It is the wrong way around. For you guys at home, it is Wisla Kraków who lead the way as they now go through lower tunnels with 3 players. Marcos is out the other side of the door. But look at this 3-man setup, Hawker. Tell us about this.
Yeah, they got this mid setup locked down right now. And then they also have Goofy and Spawn just ready with some flashes. If he needs to help towards B, he can have those at the ready. But right now, Fiend could be about to run into this bait and switch. If they're not careful, if they get this first kill, they could definitely assume that it is going to be open. Wow. But instead, they're going straight up to short and straight into the open A bomb site.
Yeah, classic little right-click one way into the doorway. It lands on the bolt of the sort of hinge of the door and actually creates a one-way for you to be able to jump up on Xbox without being spotted. And that is going to allow the Wisla Kraków side to put that, or rather the Fiend side, I'm getting confused by the logos now, as they try to retake. As the Poles come back through, they're looking to try and get off to the good start in the second half. 5 players alive for both sides as we enter this retake scenario. Sparrow starts to charge forward. Peek from the ramp, but so many Bulgarians, angry Bulgarians on the other side, and they are shutting it down. Red Star molten to pieces, as now it is just 2 players left for the CT side, and this retake attempt is gone. Bubble on the double. He will close it out as Fiend will win the pistol. A good start coming into the second half, as we now read 10-6.
Red Star having a solid game here, up to 15 frags now, but more importantly, that retake setup was always going to be so hard for the CTs. Even with the kit and the 2 flashes in that position, there's no real need for Fiend to peek from the bomb site, and those flashes can't force players out into the open. So it's a scenario where they just have to rely on hitting some quick shots. Those flashes can't help them. They have gone for the force though, an early action on long, this time going to favor the Bulgarians early.
Yeah, good early kill here for Fiend. And again, just dispatching of this force buy is of paramount importance for Fiend, who did not have a good first half, who only posted 5 in their defense. You can't afford that going into the second, so good start into this round. But they're about to walk into a 4-man stack, Hawker. 4 players on the CT side towards A.
They have the scouts to take the first contact, 2 at range. Molly goes into car, that will quickly be smoked. So maybe Fiend can start to put the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, it's still a very winnable round if they can dismantle this with good peeks, and that's exactly what comes through that from Team Fiend. The good swing out, just a unit as they peek on around the corner, and Red Star with a beautiful headshot. Yedker had no chance. There's now Goofy. Well, he'll try his best, but brought down by Red Star. Another round coming in for Fiend. The dispatch of that buy make it look easy, which it should be in theory, but never really is. As Fiend now reached 7 rounds. We'll see the buy come in for them again. Just a little bit of a comfortable buy when you look for the CT economy. Because they force spot, there's not much money at all to go around here, Hawkers. Pennies are scraping the bottom of the barrel.
This will be a round that, if you win, you call it more of a miracle there thing. You won't be counting on this one.
Magic.
Got any magicians on the Kraków side?
I don't know.
I'll have to ask them.
Well, Sparrow is like a dragon, right? So he's pretty magical. And Sparrow, you remember that game? Like on Nintendo? Sparrow the dragon?
No.
Little purple dragon you play on the Game Boy?
Oh, is that? I thought is it Spyro?
Spyro, that's what it is.
Okay,
right.
yeah.
But it always reminds me of Spyro. Every time I cast
sense.
Spyro, yeah. Maybe it's the Polish version, who knows?
Maybe.
Well, that was a good game anyway. Not as good as Counter-Strike. Nothing's as good as Counter-Strike, you know. As we look towards this round, there's not much going on at all right now. Fiend very comfortable about this one. You know, when you look at the story of this game, in terms of Fiend being in this situation, if you guys are just tuning in and you only watch the top echelons of Counter-Strike, you probably will have seen Fiend at a couple of events this year. You know, you've seen the DreamHack Masters, spring, I believe the tournament was, and they qualified by beating the Colossus that was Cloud9, and then they beat OG, another obviously Colossus team at the time. And so when you break down those teams, and 2 solid teams they've actually made their way through, and probably one of the reasons why, you know, we see them so often now, this Fiend side. And they've always been close. They've never made a major, but they were just one win away, one game away from making their first major. So this team have been performing at some big events.
You know, what's funny about that qualifier run is I was talking to Bubble about it and just saying how much I enjoyed watching him and throughout that qualifier. And I told him, oh yeah, you remember you beat Cloud9 and OG? And he was like, oh, we beat Cloud9? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He just doesn't care apparently. He's just absolutely playing so much Counter-Strike. That's just a forgettable game for him.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? It's like the Bulgarians don't care who's on the other side. Like, they just don't care who you are. They're just going to smash you a lot of the time. Well, Wisla Kraków is showing that maybe they need to take note of who's at the top of the scoreboard now, because this is still Wisla Krakow's game at the moment in terms of the score, but the Bulgarians are blundering their way through. It's another big opening there for Red Star.
That molly's just slightly short, so Red Star can sit behind it with the AWP in hand. He only got given that sniper in the first place because he had that spawn for long. It goes back into the hands of Han now. But look at the response from the CTs. They have to leave somewhere on the map exposed. They have to leave somewhere on the map vulnerable. Right now, it's the B site that doesn't have any players actually committed to it. So if a B play came in right now, you could very quickly see a save call.
And with a head of steam, they're charging into the B site as PHR is ready for it, though. He'll start to remove the coal that fuels the attack. He's got 2, but Harn makes sure that quick work is done of him. 3 versus 3. If the T's take the B bomb site, still favors them into the retake.
They still have 2 smokes too on the Fiend side here, and they haven't even put them down yet. That could buy so much more time.
Yeah, 2 smokes still available for Wisla Kraków alongside a flash and a Molotov, but like you said, just those smokes cut off one of the avenues you can enter from. That allows the T's on the post plant to just focus on limited positions, and as you so often see, it'll be a cancel of the attempt. You won't want to see the retake attempt here from the Wisla Kraków side. Just losing that B site, you so often see the save call.
And this has quickly turned into a scenario where Wisla Kraków were feeling really good about this game, and they had the 10-5 half, and now a couple of rounds go against you, and this game hangs in the balance instantly.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, Fiend on the T side are always going to be a threat if they get it going, and you know, we see the options they have with the spawn-based Counter-Strike that they're playing right now. When you bring it back to the point you brought up earlier, was the fact that everybody can have a good game on the AWP. You see Red Star, he's a good spawn for long. You just throw it to him and know he's going to be able to do something with it. So there is going to be a lot of problems solving here for the Wisla Kraków side, because it's the polar opposite of their playstyle, I think, on the T side. You know, you watch Wisla Kraków play the same round, the same default, whereas it feels like, to me, you can touch on this as well, it feels like it's going to be just a spawn-based, simple Counter-Strike coming out of Fiend, and that is actually very difficult to combat because it's unpredictable.
Yeah, that's generally the way they like to play, and it almost feels harsh at times when you see a team like Wisla Kraków do so many methodical rounds and make so many cool plays. And then you realize sometimes the most effective thing can just be winning that first fight and just saying, go. Just go, go, go. We know we can go ahead and just overrun this bomb site. That may be more tricky this time, though, because the CTs have 2 AWPs ready to try and stop this early aggression.
Fantastic flashes out of Wisla Kraków, though. That's going to force back the play, actually, in fact, from Fiend. So they're going to throw those flashes over the top Fiend. The Bulgarians force back Wisla, and that is...
Marcos is in lower
early
tons.
aggression's not working out. And yeah, this is confident play. They are starved for information, so they want to try and pick up as much control of the map as possible. And right now, I'm shocked there hasn't been a kill, to be honest.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Xbox smoke was up, so they couldn't see each other in that sort of position, but still surprising. Spiro with that AWP here on this A bomb site. They've got a couple of players committed to trying to hold this. If Spiro re-peaks, though, Hahn is just waiting for that with the AWP, and there he goes. Hahn just holds the angle, waits for the peek into his position. Another early frag for Fiend, and now the aggression from the CTs has to come back, but Red Star gets the all-important trade.
Oh, Marcos getting something done. There's a big gap here, and that's a problem. You've got to get rid of Marcos' position. They're trying to get across, and he's just holding it. He's disallowing the safe passage, but the bomb will go down. Nate goes up to try and catch them and do some damage onto Dreamer. He was the only player with health, and now he's chunked down to 58. The legs of this defense have been crushed by Dreamer, though, as he comes in with a double. It's going to be just PHR, and what can he even do? Absolutely nothing. He's got an AK on his back, and that's enough. That's enough of a reward to just run away, flee the scene, before you get flattened by the Bulgarian bulldozer.
You always have to be on your toes when you're playing against this team. Dreamer just peeks into them and they weren't ready for him. Some people might ask Dreamer, you know, why would you peek in that position? He knows he's just on the site, and he maybe just thinks to himself, you know what? If I can get a good timing here, this may be the best chance, because they know I'm trapped on the bomb site in a pretty hard post-plant position to play. He just fights him.
And if you're Team Fiend, that's exactly what you want to see, because that's their playstyle. That's who they are. That's what makes them such a deadly team, is being able to make plays like that, feel themselves, be confident to make little plays like that when they feel like there's a chance. If you start to restrict yourself and go, maybe I shouldn't play like that, maybe I shouldn't go for this peak, that's when you start to see Team Fiend close up, shut up shop, and start to lose to some of the teams they shouldn't be beating, losing to.
The funny way of thinking of it is sometimes if you think it's the worst time to peak, it might be the best time to peak because your opponents also think you're not going to peak.
Yes, exactly.
Crazy mind games.
Madness.
Absolute madness.
Yeah. But, you know, sometimes it's just like intuition. And, you know, these players are so good at the game, they just have that sixth sense to know, okay, this is an opening, this is the chance to do it, let me just do it. And it may not be even something they think about.
It's similar to chess, I think, where it's just almost pattern recognition at some point, where you've just kind of played a similar position enough times where you know, well, maybe they're going to be setting up nades for the retake here. I think I can go ahead and get a timing.
Well, here comes the timing for the B play. PHR is going to be the close player at tunnels. Marcos will take first attention. Flashes are good, though. He'll just ring off a shot, but nothing found in PHR overrun. Ships and Dreamer, with a bone-shaking attack, have completely eradicated any sign of defense. And for Wisla Kraków, it's the same old story. Safe call, go next.
They may need a timeout soon here on this CT side. I would like to see potentially some more aggression and info plays from the CTs so that they can get an idea of some of these aggressive plays that are coming against them. Because you're seeing here in this round, Fiend are just fully grouped up at the start of this one. If you can maybe push into A-long, get that bit of early information, it could definitely help you just have a chance to get something going. Because right now, they are unable to hold the sites when they sit back.
And they're hunting. Here come Fiend, trying to get rid of every weapon. Spiro and Yetko desperately trying to carry over the 2 remaining weapons. In particular, that AWP needs to be carried over, and that might just be the key to what you're talking about. Maybe they can get that AWP involved at the start of the rounds. Maybe that can start to open up and start to try and cancel out and challenge some of these spawn-based plays that Team Fiend are running with.
Definitely would be a nice way of going about it, because you can see at the top of your screen, it has been a string of T rounds now for Fiend. They haven't looked back since they hit this second half.
Look at the way you have to hold mid now as a T. Obviously with the changes, you have to drop down. And it nearly works out for an opening, but Hahn, in fact, is the player that takes damage. And now they charge through. Bottom middle, this could be a quick play. If they get underneath Spiro's crosshair, he needs to go to the single zoom here. His teammate's close. Okay, Spiro showing that he is rolling back the years. For years since we've seen him do this on the server. Another headshot through the doors.
Marcos is playing close as the insurance policy with the MP9. They've cashed in on that for 1 kill before he's traded. But now that bomb starts to come back towards B, and it is only an MP9 on that B site currently. No utility either. They can't slow down this push. So if there was a quick kill on B, that could be a real concern, but now the rotate is arriving, and it is a hefty rotate to B, but the A aggression goes against them.
Yeah, and that does leave an opening. If things go sour towards this B play, there's an opening to go back A, so they've got to patch that up by sending Yetker back, and they are going to go for that. They're going to drop off. They're not going to play into the MP9. And luckily, they have put Yetker in a position where he can look in through middle again to see if they go up through Xbox. 45 seconds left. Because they haven't actually crossed back over the box, Yetker is picking up the info that you can most likely stay in this B site, but they're not comfortable with that because he's not peeking wide. So he has pulled his teammate Sperry with that AWP over to try and help out, and now they're starting to get antsy. Now they think they could have gone T-spawn to the A site, and here comes through that mid-door smoke again. We've seen this before. 20 seconds left. They're still going for the B play. They have to. They're still in the tunnels, and once again, it's the MP9 alone trying to hold on to the site. It's got the first. Dreamer goes down. Second kill as well in for PHR, and with the weakest weapon, it is the strongest hold. As now it is 11-11, the scoreline will be tied up. Finally, Wisla Kraków will win their first round in the second half.
Really important there that PHR just goes unchecked on that first fight. Tucked into that close cubby, he had to stay committed to the B-bomb site. He made sure to hold his nerve in that scenario, and he was so close that as soon as they were in that scenario, he knows he can just hear those steps. He knows that they're coming back to B. They were trying to fake on the Fiend side. They were trying to fake that they could have gone up into short, but because it was just so quick, back towards B, because there was such little time left, all the steps were heard, and now we do get a tactical pause ahead of this one.
Yeah, this is a Team Fiend tactical timeout coming through. So they have obviously seen that Wisla have won a round. And they don't want to let that, first of all, frustrate themselves. So Fiend are just going to take a little breather here. 30 seconds, let the coach chime in. Also, just try and figure out what went wrong there and take the sting maybe out of the play for Wisla because they're going to be hyped up. Finally, we're back on the board. Let's focus up. But Fiend, they want to come back. They have a buy again. They have so much money available on this T side. They want to stop Wisla Kraków from getting into this game. It's going to be the long play again. They have loved some of these quick long plays. And this is that Ship's aggression you were mentioning earlier. He's loving getting aggressive. He's willing to do it. But they have actually conceded pit. And so Ship has a lot of work to do to try and pull that back. And Yetker is not going to let that happen. I love that from Wisla Kraków. Just so committed to getting into pit.
They're really wanting to deny any of this early aggression and early control that Fiend have been finding success with. In that previous round, they were able to stop the early aggression up mid. This time, they stopped the early aggression up long. Fiend remain grouped, though, as they look to see if they can find an opening elsewhere. They go back towards the mid doors, which are currently not being watched too aggressively. Yeah. Marcos is watching it back from A, but he should be smoked off if they go for this push.
There's no quick rotation at all. You know, if they once they take the B site, they've done this so many times, Hulk. They've just found the 2 players inside of the site and forced the save call. They could do this now. And because they used up so much utility towards A long, they don't have any for the retake, even if these 3 players come back to B. So if Fiend is successful in taking this B site, this could be round done immediately. So this needs to be a big hold from the 2 defenders. That's the last smoke gone.
Still 34 seconds, so Fiend can't afford to wait that out, but it's just a single flashbang for them to try and pop into this site. He may try and get up close on the back of that smoke, but Spiro's AWP could go huge here. There's 4 waiting for him, though.
Yeah, you need to get behind that box, buddy. He's going to pick up for 1. And they can dive down again, but Red Star's so quick. Get your gun out, PHR. He's down and out. Red Star with a follow-up, and that's the B site gone as well. No one in position, no one ready for the save, and it has to be Fiend with the B play. They are successful in crushing the 2 solo players inside the site. You have to get a kill there in defense.
That is genuinely reminiscent of that round where Apex peeked mid with the AWP and just saw 4 people waiting for him on the other side back in the day. Except this time it's in the tunnels. They just got 4 players standing side by side. Perfectly sums up Fiend's style of Counter-Strike. Strength in numbers, side by side until the end. They might have had their arms linked there as they pushed the site together.
Best friends. All still friends, of course. In the wise words of Kassad today. But here we are at a point where, in this game, it feels like Fiend are worlds away from feeling stressed out. I think they're in a very comfortable position now on this T side. For Wisla Kraków, it was a good start to the round. You know, stopping, getting into pick, stopping that early aggression. The problem with that is, look how much utility they use, Hoka. That's pretty exploitable, right?
There was a lot of utility used by both teams, just clearly focusing heavily on that long control. But this time Fiend had a faster response and a quicker response as to where they wanted to push together. They did find that opening in towards mid. Now we've got the same play up mid. Han holding for his teammates, only this time there's no one on the CT side here to stop this.
And Red Star trying to make his way out through middle. Will be the front man charging. Smokes down for the crosses. Flashbangs coming on out. And Sparrow alongside PHR being tested again. They failed time and time again, but Sparrow gets away with one. PHR needs to get a kill here. He's done better than last round. He's been able to find one in a second. Will be picked up from the AUG. He is overrun, and now the site will be taken again. This time, a winnable round for Wisla. This time, they've got to go for it. You can't just save time and time again. Eventually, you've got to try and win a round, and it's a 3 versus 2. This is their best chance to do it.
And this time, the utility's in their favor. There's no smokes to stop them. They're the ones that have smokes and mollies to flush out some of these positions. And with those kits, they can afford to take their time on the retake.
And it's a crossfire from the 2 remaining players of Fiend trying to play off of each other. But the smoke has completely negated that problem. Now they just have to fight individually, and luckily Hart nearly gets it done. Double kill for him, but there's time for the defuse. It is going to be the retake scenario for Wisla Kraków, finally finding success in that B site, and they've tied up the scoreline 12-12. What a great job done by that utility.
Yeah, that's exactly what they needed to do with the util. Either use it to get an early kill by clearing out one of those angles, or just use it to make sure those players can't trade and you can just take the fair fights against them. And Han had a nice idea of just trying to get out through that window. He knew the player was committed to the site, so it would be difficult to chase him, but he was just a bit too far out in the open, a bit too far exposed, couldn't get into position quickly enough. Well, this game is heating up.
A little bit of news for you guys at home. They've actually done it again. Team Fiend have got in with another timeout after one Wisla Kraków round. Now, they answer back with a round win after their timeout. So, Wisla Kraków, this is their opportunity. They have to take it. They can't afford to just win one CT round, lose the rest, because that's not good for your economy. It just really isn't. And once we're getting into these late stages of the game, you need to take these chances. You know, the amount of times you've struggled to get on the board on the CT side, this is your opportunity now to try and get back in this game and try and close out your map pick of Dust 2. Otherwise, Team Fiend are coming for you.
They most certainly are. No early kill this time on the long spawn. Bubble going alone into short, relying on his utility to keep him safe. Looks like Fiend want to continue to hang around towards long. They've still kept a lot of their utility to try and take that control, but the CTs have got 2 players set up on long with an attempted crossfire to deny.
Oh, Marcus. Good blind kill, but committed too much on his own there, I think. When you're on that right side of the doorway, it's going to put pressure on Goofy, because now they know where he is. This smoke is going down to try and buy time and isolate some easy fights, but Red Star, he's feeling it right now. 27-13. The amount of entries he's had, amount of impactful kills Red Star has been able to pick up, it's been absolutely huge so far, and he's going to try and pick that up some more. He's into the site. It is Fiend looking to try and crunch in this A site. 3 versus 3 this time.
Onto the site itself, but there's still utility to go both ways,
no.
and the nade is the important piece of the puzzle that they were looking for. Gedka pushing in, but Han keeps his teammates safe, missing the second time of asking though, and still no bomb plant.
Oh yeah, Dreamer's got to clutch this. He's done this before. He's got a 2K from this exact position. Different scenario though, not a clutch. He's got to try and make it happen. Problem is, bomb plant has not come through yet. They're going to let that happen because they know they've got the advantage. Sparrow, nearly goes down. Dreamer really needed that first kill to turn it into a 1 versus 1. Now it's still difficult. He's got 2 angles to worry about. He's got to use this small positioning, small cover position to try and take them into 1 versus 1 fights. And he's done it. He's taken down the rifle of PHR. And now it's just Sparrow, the leader for the Wisla Kraków side, trying to get back in. Dreamer's run out of ammo. Out to the clock he goes, and he shuts it down. The Bulgarians reach 13, and a much-needed clutch comes out of them. Wisla Kraków, they needed that one, Hawker. That is going to shatter their money.
Even if you don't beat Fiend in the early round, they have many players capable of finding ways to clutch like that. Quick shot onto the first player, isolates the 1v1 fight, and then you don't care how you finish it off, you just care that you managed to finally get the job done with the Glock.
it's so horrible how the situation panned out, because he wished the first couple of shots in the Sparrow, he really just needed to turn that into 1v1s. This was stood a chance right up until the seconds there, but Dreamer plays it to perfection. We're into round 26. 13-12, the scoreline with Fiend in the lead now, but they've lost the early pick towards Long. And that's called for a quick play from Fiend into the B site. The CZ's ready for them though. 1 kill out of it. Does get traded out by Red Star. Again, the hero for them. And Dreamer, holding the long aggression, nearly gets caught out with a couple of whip shots himself. He needs to be careful. He's about to be pinched from 2 sides, and because of that, he's lost his life. And Red Star's now the only player left in the round. 1 versus 3 is needed. We've seen a big clutch in the previous from Dreamer. I don't know if we can expect the same here from Red Star. He's so low on health. He's pushed through, and the USB will bring him down. The scoreline's tied up. What a game we're having here.
And what a bounce back coming through. Fiend gets shut down on the early attempted long control. Bubble was hoping he could just take that control by himself, maybe get a kill on that position with his superior rifle, and just keep players in position while his teammates set up the B play. But as soon as he went down, clearly the second plan was, if he ends up falling, we're just going to go ahead and commit to this B bomb site. And they never got that full control that they needed. The CZ obviously doing so much work initially on the hold, but then I believe it was a scout that rotated over just in time to go ahead and make that cross to the site even more difficult. Dreamer had the flank covered, but his teammates couldn't get control of the site itself. And as we get down to crunch time, the pauses are continuing to come on through. Look how back and forth these last few rounds have been.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. And the fact is, for Fiend, you know, they did have a clutch come through from Dreamer that just about saved them. You know, it hasn't been the best rounds here from them in the last few on this T side. So Wisla Kraków certainly in with a shot at pulling this all the way to a win. Team Fiend have got to dig deep. They lose this round, their money's likely gone. We're likely looking at 15-13 for the Wisla Kraków side.
And it's not even perfect for them in this one. A couple of players having to rock the pistols. Ships and Bubble, who have both struggled on this T side to put up too many numbers, will be down on the pistols in this one. Cross hasn't been able to get too involved with his AWP on the CT side so far. Generally, it's Spiro's AWP that's been in the positions ready to fight. But it's not for a lack of trying. You can see that CT AWP hoping to find that angle in through mid. Han is still waiting on the other side, but he's running up.
And you know that every kill matters so much for Fiend, given the situation of their economy here, the weapons they have. Every kill matters, and they've lost the first. And it's Bubble down, and that bomb was spotted. Luckily, it is only a pistol that has hit the deck. Would have been recovered if a rifle anyway, but here comes the short play. It looks like they're trying to up the pace, trying to make it rapid in towards this A site. But Goofy, he's dealt with it. He's got the speed bumps, but luckily Dreamer is just a beast at finding 2. Not enough, though, as PHR closes it with the HE. And 14-13 is the scoreline with Wisla Kraków. They didn't actually have much pressure there towards the late round, Hawker. This is looking very good for the Polish side.
A couple of players there on A in good positions to spot towards short and just team up on those fights. The nade coming in to seal the deal and put Fiend into an awful position. You're facing 14 rounds on the opponent's scoreboard, and you only have a single deagle to work with in this one. They might just try and see if they can take solo fights with that and give it over to other players if they end up falling. But any round win here for Fiend would be a long shot. Even getting a couple of kills seems unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, we can just start talking about possibly what they can do to get back to this game strategy-wise. You know, like you said, there has been a big obvious weakness in terms of Bubble and Ships. They need to deliver more impact. Red Star's been fantastic, and he's done it again here, Hawk. He's found 2 on the deagle, and Marcus is, I don't know how, but he's come through with the USB. He knows he's up against pistols, so he charged them down himself. A little bit of pistol fun for the AWPer as he switches back to his primary to close it down at the end. And this is now looking like Wisla are surely going to take Dust 2. Is there anything Team Fiend can do here?
I mean, that kill discrepancy you're talking about is just so wild here in this second half. Bubble has 3 kills on this T side so far. Ships only has 2 kills throughout this entire T side. And then Red Star's sitting there with 18 frags to get up to the 30 bomb because he only had 12 at the half. So just goes to show that One of the players has been really doing the heavy lifting, the others haven't, and now Marcos is done sitting back. He wants to get aggressive into lower tons to try and close this out.
Marcos has got a very committed angle. He's got one though. He's hit the shot. Something Ships couldn't do much of in that first half. Wasn't really finding too much success. Even Harn had to go of some of these lower tunnel aggressive plays. Something that opposing Opus couldn't get away with. Marcos has done and got out of dodge. He only took 5 points damage. A little bit more sprinkled damage there from Bubble towards the end, but Fiend have lost 2 extra players. Now we're looking at a situation that is starting to look very dire for Fiend. Looking down the barrel of what is surely going to be a 16-13 victory for the Wisla Kraków side. And watch their Polish brothers go out earlier today to the Sinners, and they're looking to try and keep Poland in this tournament. Sparrow, it's one onto Red Star. Bubble able to reply, and now he's alone. Bubble has been very quiet, Hawker. I don't give him much of a chance to pull this one off.
Well, at least he has the A-bomb sight, but that is the only positive for him right now. 25 health. It could be a nade close by for him if he's not careful, but at this point, you've just got to try and find fights if you want any chance of winning this.
Yeah, you've really got to just pull off something ridiculous, and it's not going to happen. 16-13, Wisla Kraków will take the win. Finally on the board for Poland. It's the first map the Polish team's won at this competition so far, so looking to try and keep them in the side. Fiend definitely looked like they were in the game, but it felt like there was a lot of missing pieces there. And I think certainly positives you could take away from that for the Bulgarians was Red Star, certainly looking good. Dreamer had a couple of good rounds and clutches, but Wisla Kraków just looked like the better team. The structure on the T side as well. They were playing a pretty difficult game of Counter-Strike, and they pulled it off.
Definitely. And heading on to that second half, you saw the strong start for Fiend, really just relying on a lot of pacey plays, which can work, but it was once Wisla started to just stop some of that early aggression. They started to have some setups where maybe they'd have a player at a close angle, they'd have a couple of players in position or an AWP holding the angle. If you can just get that early kill, it just completely can slow down the push, and that's what happened a couple of times.
Well, map 1 goes in favor of Wisla Kraków. We're going to have to come back after the break to find out if it's going to be a 2-0 for the Poles, or will the Bulgarians bounce back to try and stay alive here at the V4 Future Sports Festival. No worries.